Welcome to Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial, the home for financial advice in a language you can understand. Created by Marc Freedman of Freedman Financial, he and his team of certified financial planner professionals will discuss timely topics that help individuals and families make smart financial decisions. And now, get ready for this week's edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial.
Welcome back to another edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial. My name is Marc Freedman.
And I'm Marion Gilman.
And we're here to provide you some more financial advice in a language you can understand.
Seems like we do this every week.
Every week we do it, and there's always something to talk about.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it seems that as each week goes by this year in 2026, there's more and more to talk about, that's for sure. More and more headlines that appear on our phones, on TV, more and more misconceptions about how people interpret stuff too. And,
that's right.
And so we thought we would take this chance to spend a few minutes with you and share some more of those misconceptions that are coming across our desk, frankly, within the past week. Yes. So you want to start with something?
Sure, I'd love to start with something.
Great.
So, we have, one of the things that we have seen a lot over the course of years is in people who purchase long-term care insurance. So long-term care insurance is designed to step in and pay for your care if you can't perform all of the activities of daily living.
Well, some of the activities of daily living.
That's correct.
And it's all based upon the policy, of course.
That's exactly right. So the policies all have certain criteria associated with them and all. They all are different. But the one thing they all have in common, which is very different from life insurance typically, is that the premiums are not set for life for long-term care insurance. Most life insurance policies, particularly term life insurance policies, that premium is set for life.
Well,
it doesn't change.
It's set for a term when it comes.
For a term, that's
right,
correct.
It's not for life.
But the life of the policy, it is set for.
If you buy a 10-year policy, a 15-year policy, a 30-year policy, it's set for that specific time. The policy's not the premium is not going to change.
The premium does not change. On long-term care policies, the premium can change, and we've seen a lot of this over the years because we started selling long-term care insurance many years ago. And if you think back 20, 30 years, insurance companies didn't know how to price this correctly because back then, fewer and fewer people were living as long as they do now, and they didn't need the kind of care that they typically do now.
Well, think about this. 30 or 40 years ago, how many senior living facilities were there?
Yeah.
How many nursing homes were there that were now they're just overflowing and they don't even have enough of them because more and more people need some type of either home health and or nursing home care to support them.
That's right. And long-term care policies are not for everybody, but one of the things that you have to keep in mind, and this is, I know when you're buying this, you don't really focus on all of the details, but it's extremely important to know that those premiums can increase over time.
But can just your premium increase?
Just your premium cannot, but for an entire class of individuals. So let's say everybody who's 75 years old, who turned 75 years old in 2026, their premium can increase.
Well, I think it's a little, that's part of it.
Yes.
But I think what ends up happening is when you buy a long-term care policy, when you buy sometimes an annuity, sometimes a life insurance policy, they give this policy that is being sold a name. The Polcari 341 product. So everybody who buys the Polcari 341 long-term care policy is part of that group. It's not about the age so much or the health conditions of that person.
It's not the health conditions,
right.
For sure.
It's just around the name of that policy. And each one has a little nuance to it. And periodically, these companies will jump in and they'll say, we are not making any money on this policy anymore. Right. There's more people that are submitting claims than we ever expected.
In this particular class.
In this particular class, or this product that we're offering, and we need to make a increase. And so they go to the state commissioner. Within each state has an insurance commissioner.
So there is a control on this as to how much they can raise the premiums.
Right.
Set by the insurance
Absolutely.
commissioner.
And so they petition the commissioner to say, hey, if based upon the collection of people that we have within this product, and usually by the time they're going to the commissioner to talk about the product that they're selling, that this pool
Whatever
of
it
people,
was.
that's not being sold to anybody anymore. There's a whole
Right.
nother product that's out there. And they say, in order for this thing, for us to be able to make any money here, we need to raise premiums. And so they go to the commissioner and they petition the commissioner.
Right.
And sometimes they might go to the commissioner and say, we need to raise premiums 50%. 50%?
That's huge.
And
Or can be.
can be. And that happens. And then the commissioner and his group decide what they're going to do. And once that decision is made, the insurance company reaches out to all the people that are part of that pool
Correct.
and says, and they say your premium is going to go up. And generally it doesn't happen overnight. It's something that phases in over 2 to 5 years sometimes.
So the insurance commissioner might say, okay, we'll approve the 50% increase in premium. However, you can only do 15% per year. So then they have to spread it out over several years.
Right. And they oftentimes come back to the insured, the people that are in the long-term care policy, and they say, well, if you don't want to pay the increase in premium, they give you some other options. Maybe you don't need as much of a benefit anymore. And you can play all that stuff through. But the point that we're trying to make here is the fact that what you oftentimes hear when you're being sold something that sounds really good, and the person, remember, that's selling it to you is a salesperson. You know, think about it.
Sometimes even if they're not.
Even
I
if they're
will
not,
say.
but
Right.
think about how many people who are around to help the family file a claim for a life insurance policy
Right.
are the same people who sold you the policy. So the person that is selling, especially when it comes to insurance, annuities, and a variety of other products, there is an incentive to the salesperson to get you to sign on the bottom line and buy this.
Correct.
And while they likely and are obligated to share with you both the positives, the pros and the cons, the risks and the reward of this policy, most people who want to buy something, who are interested, turn a deaf ear sometime to some of the risks.
That's right.
And so now we're seeing ourselves in a situation where
So
people have
they
increases.
don't know what to do. And so here's the problem, though. 15 years down the road, when you get these increases, you're much more likely to need the insurance and need the insurance in a few years than you were 15 years before when you bought the policy, or 10 years, or whatever that might have been, 20 years. So that's a big decision to make, to say, okay, now I've paid for this for 15 years, what do I do?
Yeah, and honestly, so what people will end up doing is they'll say, oh, well, I'll just shop it out and see if I can find something cheaper.
Yeah, never.
And what they'll find is that if they were to buy a new long-term care insurance policy at their current age, the policy that they have, even with the increase in premium, is probably a far better deal than what is out there now.
And they might not be able to get the insurance
Right.
anymore because you might have health conditions that preclude you from being approved. for
Right,
the
you might not
policy.
be as insurable.
That's right.
So,
That's right. So you need to be very careful.
and
about that.
I just don't want to pick on the long-term care industry.
No, it's
We
not
see
only
this
that.
happening in all different aspects, especially in financial services.
Correct.
In fact, recently there was a firm called Blue Owl
Yes.
that was in the news, and they represented a product that, frankly, in our business, we were heavily solicited to encourage our clients to buy.
Right.
The sales pitch sounded wonderful,
Fantastic.
but there were also risks that didn't quite come across as strongly as perhaps they should have, because nobody wanted to hear the risks.
Right. The benefits came across much more strongly, right? And you really, again, if it sounds too good to be true, ask a lot of questions. That has to be that should be your philosophy. Because this particular product, although they were offering very high interest rates and it just sounded great, they also reserve the right to
to limit.
To limit redemptions. So you could not necessarily take out your money if you needed it at any point in time.
Yeah, they're oftentimes referred to as interval funds.
Correct.
Where there's a small sliver of money that's made available once a quarter to those that want some money out. But once they hit that cap, they fulfill that order of that amount of money, they're not going to give any more money out that year.
That's right.
And most people will go, well, if I can get this, and I'm not going to take any money out, why would I want to do that?
Exactly.
Well,
Guess
sometimes investments don't go as promised. I mean, how did Kodak do? How did Polaroid do? You know, we can name plenty of stocks that appeared to be wonderful for a while,
Absolutely.
that haven't done so good. You can think of businesses that flourished for years. Think of some of your favorite restaurants from 10 or 15 years ago. Where are they right now?
But even, I mean, look at GE stock. How many people bought that for the dividend? And then what happened to the dividend?
The dividend was taken away.
It went down to a penny a share or something, I think.
Right.
You know,
And-
crazy.
And that's not to say that this wasn't a smart investment or continues to be a smart investment. But the point is you need to understand the risks. And all too often, we're seeing this a lot with annuities, where people will say to us, oh, I'm not worried about my annuity. I can always take 10% out without any penalty. Now, you got to understand all the other details around this annuity product. That's real important. But many people these days are buying annuities to get something that's called a guaranteed income. And they go, well, I'm going to get my guaranteed income forever, and I can take 10% out. That's not what they said. You can get the guaranteed income, but you got to let the product do what it's supposed to do.
That's right. And you can't touch the principal. So you can't take out the 10% and still expect the same type of guaranteed income.
Right. What we're trying to share with you is that, look, I heard it last night. Here's another perfect example. 2 nights ago, the president did his State of the Union address. And the president talked about the new Trump accounts that are going to be beneficial for kids that were born, I think it was as of last year into 2028, where they're going to fund it with $1,000, and then there's going to be perhaps some matching contributions you can add to it. And the president made the statement, I heard him, I was listening, where he said, and these will be a tax-free account. And people picked up on this saying, tax-free? Wow. Well, it's not. Now, did the president lie? I think that's a little bit of an extreme, because I think oftentimes people hear the word tax-deferred and tax-free and think that's the same thing. Just like the...
But there are qualifiers.
There are qualifiers,
always,
absolutely.
Always. It's not tax-free at any time, whenever you want it, and always.
That's right. And
you
that's
have to meet criteria.
Just like last week, we talked about the municipal bond yields and brokers calling people to talk about the tax equivalent yield of X, when it really isn't that. They're making an assumption about what your tax rate is. They're making a lot of assumptions. And so the generalization that we hear from a word, thinking that it applies to all, needs to be very carefully understood.
Exactly. Ask a lot of questions. Even Roth IRAs.
Right.
You know,
a conversion of a Roth.
That's right. I mean, a lot of these things, although they're promoted as tax-free completely, not always the case. You know, with a Roth, any of the growth in the account, if you take it out before age 59 and a half, you pay tax on that growth.
Yeah. There's all sorts of qualifiers.
Right.
It's and that's why, as a certified financial planner, as certified financial planners, we are obligated to take continuing education credits year after year after year after year in order to keep our license in force.
Right.
We are held accountable for these rules changes. And there are rule changes, it seems like all the time, and some are rules that have been discussed that aren't really in place yet. They're just proposals. You got to understand what's a proposal and what's actually the enforceable rule. And we need to understand that. And we find all too many clients, just like people came into the office thinking, oh, my Social Security is now tax-free.
Right. Well, you know, not so much. However, I have seen tax returns this year, and there are many seniors who are getting back substantially more in refund money
than they ever had before.
That's right, because all of a sudden they hit that criteria in order to get a $6,000 additional credit.
Per person,
if
they qualified.
If they qualified.
Right, there's all sorts of qualifiers with everything.
Always.
And so That's why we believe it's so important as you begin to get successful and serious about your financial life, getting your whole financial portfolio, putting it together. And that just doesn't mean your IRA and your trust or your individual account. It's the value of your home, your life insurance policies, homeowners, automobile, tax return, benefits booklets, all of that stuff. Who is looking at the big picture?
You have to understand how it all weaves together.
Right, and that's what we do. It's not just about the investments for us. It's the big picture. And look, we're going to refer you to an automobile or a homeowner's insurance person if we think you need to make a change. We're going to refer you to an accountant or an attorney or some other professional that addresses some of the that addresses the issues that you need.
Right.
But if now's the time to get serious, we'd love to talk with you. Our phone number 978-531-8108. That's 978-531-8108. Or visit us on that thing called the World Wide Web. FreedmanFinancial.com. That's Freedman.
2 E's and a D.
Financial.com. And by the way, if you want to get our newsletter, it comes out every Friday, 10:30 in the morning. It lands in your inbox. That is if you're on Eastern Standard Time. Go to our website, like we said, bottom of every page, put in your email and what else? Put in your email.
Email address, that's it.
That's it. Put in your email
That's all
address
you
at the
have
bottom
to
of any
do.
page. And you'll get the email
Easy.
every Friday, starting at 10:30.
You have to hit return, send.
Yeah, you have to hit send. That's right. You do have to hit send. Get this. We have been sending this email that we write ourselves. This is not a packaged product. We write it ourselves. And we've been doing that since March of 2009.
That should mean something to you, March of 2009.
Yeah, March of 2009. It was a good time in the market, wasn't it?
Well, going forward, it really was.
It really was.
Wasn't it? It was horrible.
It was the year the market, the stock market, hit the 6,000s.
Right.
It was a brutal period of time during the financial crisis. And here we are almost, 17 years past that?
Right.
And the Dow Jones Industrial Average is hovering around 50,000.
Yeah,
it's pretty remarkable.
Not bad.
You might want to get spooked by a lot of things that are out there, but one of the smartest pieces of advice we can give you is invest wisely, invest smart, stay the course, allow rational behavior to lead the way, not emotional behavior. And that's what we call financial advice in a language you can understand. That's going to do it for us this week. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you again next week with more dollars and cents and financial advice in a language you can understand.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
During today's episode of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial, your host may have discussed specific financial planning and investment ideas that are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Please remember that investing involves risk and may include loss of principal. Always consult a certified financial planner professional, qualified attorney, or tax advisor prior to investing to determine what is appropriate for you. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.